Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be somewhat of an introduction to this guitar, but really I'm going to attempt to change the nut, which I've never done before on any guitar. This is a 1994 Gibson Les Paul Studio, ebony fretboard era. Pretty much the most sinister, absolutely sick wine red Les Paul I've ever seen. I had to jump on it, although it is a heavily played 94. I will go over all of the full details of this guitar in a formal video where I show the guitar and demonstrate the tones of it. When I first got this guitar, one of the issues with it was that the nut, which appears not to be original, has worn so low in some places that the action toward the nut is just too low. So rather than try to do a review and demo while it might be buzzing out, it's probably not in tune either. Well, close enough, but you can hear how down here the strings are just too low. So I've been avoiding really getting into playing it that much until I get this fixed. Seeing as we are in the times that we're in and that a Graphtec nut is only like $12, I figured I would get one and give it a shot. So for this project I have the guitar, of course, a Tusk XL nut, which is pre-slotted because there's no way that I would be very good at slotting a nut. I'm probably not even going to be good at putting it on. I have some wood glue, which I have way too much of, but all I need to do is probably put like 2 dabs of it. And I have a little bit of water to wash anything off, and I have God knows how many different grades of sandpaper in order to sand it to a perfect shape, or not perfect, but the shape that I will end up sanding it to. So I'm hoping, because these are all new strings, that I can do this without necessarily taking the strings all the way off, although I may end up doing that on the basis that I don't usually leave that much slack when I change strings. But anyway, you can hear how in the old nut, you hear that? The strings are basically sawing the nut every time I change them, which I change strings a lot. So it's no wonder why the nut is so low. This guitar had a headstock repair, and I suspect that that's at the point that they changed this nut, but what it has on it right now, to be totally honest, feels like crap. It just feels like plastic. I don't know why they did that. The repair itself was actually done very well. Also, the last time that I changed the strings on this, the nut more or less slid out. So I figured there's now no better time for me to try to change it because it's already loose. I don't have to worry about trying to bust it out and like splintering wood. It's already off for the most part. So those strings are out of the way. I've left the high and low E. I'm gonna try to get these as far out of the way as I can. So I'm just probably gonna see if I can get these like around the bridge somehow so that they don't accidentally knock the nut. No, maybe I won't do that. I also think that I'll probably need to have strings on in order to test the height of the nut, so that's why I don't want to take them all the way off. It's not just being lazy. Okay, so obviously this won't pull straight out, but the nut will slide out like that. There it goes. So that had come loose. So I've already cut this package open. Here is the Tusk XL. This almost looks like you could put it in straight ahead like that, although you can't quite. But you can, it appears, slide it in. Actually, that fits tighter than I thought it would. If you just looked at these, This nut, the old one, seems to come to almost a triangular base, and I was worried because this one looks to be more up and down, but actually it takes up the whole space, so that's really good. That was a concern that I had when I was just looking at this, the new nut. In fact, it's a really tight fit up against that headstock veneer. Man. Also, this, just as it is really, really high. So, let me see. Okay, so obviously it should be fairly even in here. Damn, I might not even need to glue that son of a bitch. Although I'm gonna have to probably file it down and I'll have to glue it. Okay, so that is reassuringly snug. It's obviously wider than it needs to be, but they're gonna give you more material than you need. This was actually the narrower option for a Gibson style nut. I'm glad I went with it because I don't want to be sanding all day. But now I think before I do any sanding, I'm going to kind of see where, oh yeah, holy crap, that's really high. Wow, what the hell? What? That is ridiculously high. I guess that's normal, maybe, for a nut to start off that high. But I'll tell you that this is going to be, damn, dude. I really don't know. Shit. That is a really snug fit. You probably would barely need to put any glue on this thing at all. Crazy. Okay. So I'm gonna have to sand this quite a bit. I guess I'll start off with 180. I don't know, I'm not real familiar with straight up sandpapers. It's worth saying that I plugged my camera in because I didn't know how long this was going to take. It's probably going to take a while, just the sanding aspect of it. It's probably smart to go lengthwise because that's how it's going to travel on the wood grain when it goes in. Okay. I'm gonna see if what I did there made much difference at all. Yes, it made a difference. However, it's not even, and it's still really, really high. In what universe would you need that much material for a Gibson nut? I'm gonna go to 120 instead of 180 for a little bit more speed, I think. There's probably some actual tools that people might use to do this. I don't really have any. Trying to put more pressure on the other side here that I seem to have done unevenly. The thing that's going to be tricky is making sure that it's actually even by the time it's at the correct height, I think. Because right now, it's like millimeters too high. So it doesn't really matter that I have no skill of sanding. There's like a weird smell coming off of this too. It smells like a fried elephant tusk. Okay. That looks a little better. Like it might not rock as much. As I sand it, it's easier to get in because the base of it is wider. So that's a bit better. It's not really rocking as much, but that's still too high. There's strings on top of it. I would like to start it off high, but not that high. It's still at the point where it's kind of insane. I'm using the high and low E as a gauge because it seems to me like the nut would be inclined to rock if it's not evenly sanded. So those strings are probably the most important, how they land. Okay, definitely as I sand this, the taper becomes less. So it's easier to get in and out, which I guess is good to keep testing it, but it means it's going to need glue. Okay. You can definitely smell it. Good thing I'm wearing all black for all this dust. Okay. Oh yeah, there you go. Better. This is almost now getting to a territory where I might want it. What the fuck? Territory where I might want it to be. But it rocks a bit. I feel like on the bass side it's almost there, but it's not level. On the treble side is way too high, but if I push it down, it's almost there. So I'm going to have to, I guess, try to take some either off the middle or off the bass side, unfortunately. I mean, I know that they probably want to make it universally fit, but why does this nut start off so high? Why is this nut so high? Why is my voice so high? Honestly, I thought I would have to go to a finer grit, but this seems like it'll probably work. It just needs a little bit more sanding. It's not really... Actually, I need to take some off the treble side now. Like, disproportionately so. This is becoming very dusty. There's a bit gone on the treble side. Let's see what it does. Jeez, the dust on this thing is just getting crazy. We'll land this about evenly in here. So if I push that down, man, why does it do that? I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna check this again. I mean, it still rocks a bit. I wonder if it's maybe that little strip of wood that covers the truss rod is making a pivot, but I don't know how I would address that. See, there's that all the way down. That's correct. I don't want the bass side any lower, but I want the treble side lower, but I can push it lower. I wonder if I could somehow feel out a difference in height. Like what's it rocking on? I don't really have a straight edge, but is it rocking in here? Yes, almost. It almost seems like there's some glue or something on the fretboard. Okay. This is kind of annoying. What's this, 120? Yep. I wonder if this just help it at all. I'm just going after the middle of it now because I really just don't want it to pivot. It would almost be better for it to land on each end than keep pivoting like that. Although ideally I just want it to be flush. Not as bad. Make sure I still have enough height. That's pretty good. That's pretty good when it's down. I think I just need to take some out of the middle for whatever reason. Man, I can actually feel the heat on my finger behind the sandpaper from this. And it's breaking the sandpaper. Anybody who's done any sort of woodworking or sanding or anything is going to be looking at me like, what is this idiot doing? But I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing, but everybody get up. Sit up, Christopher. Definitely has helped. So this is like wearing my fingers out. Jesus Christ. And it's like that's pretty solid right there. Height test. Whoops. Whoops. I'm gonna have to do each side a little bit, but I'm leaving it so far so that I can just easily pry up because there's some overhang. Jesus. It's getting a lot better, but it shouldn't be either or. I want this thing to be totally flush. Right now it's like one side or the other gets higher or lower, which, you know, it's probably acceptable at this point. If I were to glue it like that, it wouldn't have any movement, but I don't want to know if there's any gap right there. Why it's like that, I really don't know. I don't know if that's normal or not, but it's definitely just the shape of the wood. Now you can actually see where there's an arc to it. And it is just almost perfect. So close. I mean, probably acceptable right now, but not perfect. This will probably be the last, hopefully last nut replacement this guitar gets. Well, maybe not, who knows. It's already gone 26 years, so if it goes another 26 years, I might need another nut. That tiny squeaky sound you get when you rub two pickles together. Man, this is making a mess, that's for sure. But we're almost there. This video, the footage right now is 53 minutes. Now I have paused because I get tired of how tedious it is. Wait a minute. Perfect. That is now sitting perfectly. That's what I've been going for. And then I'm gonna have to still do the edges. Oh yeah. That is perfect. Doesn't rock at all. It's got about 2 millimeters action over that first fret. The middle is about the same. You know, now I'm like, okay, so down here, that's normal. That's normal. It's weird, I mean, I never play really down in like the cowboy chord area, as they call it, anyway, so I don't really know like what the action really should be right off the nut, but this to me seems like it is now the appropriate height. and it's workable. So now I gotta do the edges. It's taking longer than I thought. I'm gonna take another 120. It's a 180. Take a 120, 120. Take some material off of there. Man, you can really smell this stuff. Especially when you just start ripping it on coarse sandpaper. Again, because I'm never really in that first sort of cowboy chord area very much, this doesn't have to be perfect. This guitar, the edges are not perfect, but I don't want it to be like sticking out. So I guess we'll see what we can do in that aspect. Oh, that's almost pretty much what I was picturing, actually. That is exact. Huh, well that was a lot quicker than sanding the bottom of it, that's for sure. So that is what we're looking at. Not bad for somebody who's never done it before. This thing is now so perfect. It's hard to get out. Oh man. But I gotta put some glue on it. So I'm gonna make sure that, well, I don't want to put water on it because it has holes. How? What? You're seriously supposed to just push this up and it makes glue? I need to figure out how fast this glue is going to come out because... Oh, real slow. Okay. So I think I just needed like 2 little droplets, more or less. Okay. There's 1. Two. Yeah, I don't want to put too much. And I'm gonna try to now put it in cleanly. Exactly how it needs to go. Basically, no glue came out. From anywhere, which means that it was a good amount. And it is now back centered. And I think what I should probably do is tune it back up and let it sit for 24 hours with the string tension, and that'll hold it all together. I'm not cranking these up really fast because I don't want to cause the nut to move. So I'm basically just putting them in their ridges slowly, and then I'm going to tune it up. Man, I really don't know if I have the patience to do this slowly. I feel like I'm back in middle school with no peg winder. So, take a look at that. That is a re-nutted Les Paul by yours truly. Although it is self-lubricating, I am going to put some of this Music Nomad lubricant where the strings sit in all the slots, just to get it broken in. It's kind of like in place of graphite. This stuff. No more creaking nut. No more low action as the strings are sawing through it every time you change them. This thing, playability wise, this is really all this guitar has needed since I got it, and this now I'm pretty happy about. I don't want to just start like playing this a whole lot, but instantly all of the string clearance issues are gone. Wow, this thing tunes a million times smoother and faster. Like I'm overshooting all these notes by a lot. Okay, so I'm not going to break the strings in, bend them, play them, because I want to just have the tuning tension on there, and then I want the glue to be able to cure for 24 hours. But I am genuinely pretty impressed with myself for being able to do that. Never done one before. It did take an hour, more or less, but pretty happy with how that turned out. You would never know that an idiot changed this nut. I mean, that is just properly, perfectly fit. So now I'll finally be able to do the introduction and review and demo of this guitar without the strings buzzing out. So you guys have that to look forward to if you subscribe. If you like this video, don't forget to share it. Subscribe, please, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.